Okay, hello everybody. My name is Salla Autio. I'm a senior advisor in Finnish tax administration. I work in a tax crime area. Me and my team are responsible for the strategic level work regarding tax crimes and other economic crimes connected to it. Before this, I was around 7 years. I was a tax auditor and I was specialized in tax fraud cases. My presentation will be focusing on the cooperation and prevention of tax crimes and other economic crimes. And in the end, I will briefly talk about our anti-corruption measures also. First, about the approach to tackle tax crimes and other economic crimes. So FTA does a lot of cooperation with various authorities regarding this phenomenon, strategic and operative level. And we have in Finland a strong will to work together, and authorities trust each other. And since the 96, we have had this action plan against shadow economy and economic crime. And this kind of whole of government approach is actually sort of traditional to us. And we have seen that this is a good way to tackle this kind of phenomena. But of course, nowadays, tax crimes, economic crimes are getting more and more complicated. We also see that fighting against this phenomenon is not just a responsibility of public authorities. So the whole society needs to be involved. And we do have this whole society approach in Finland also, which means that public and private parties are working together. Key players are, of course, public authorities, but this kind of approach is effective when we are talking about this kind of broad phenomena like corruption or economic crimes. We do this kind of cooperation nowadays, yes, but I think in the future we could have even more this kind of public-private partnerships also. We do a lot of different type of preventive work with stakeholders such as municipalities, well-being service counties that are responsible of providing the healthcare in Finland, banks, unions, and our aim is to raise awareness on risks and phenomena, so give training as well as cooperate. And today's globalized world, of course, international cooperation is really important. And I think the most valued form is the Nordic cooperation. So we have this Nordic agenda where all the Nordic countries' tax administrations are working together. So Iceland, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Denmark. And of course, OECD and EU level work also. To get you an overall picture about the authorities for working and combating shadow economy, economic crime, I think there's almost 30 different authorities in this picture. Of course, some authorities are more deeply participating in this work than others, but still, there's many of them. And then I wanted to give you an example about our action plan, what kind of project we have there. So this is an example from our previous action plan. This was FTA's identity misuse and refund fraud project that ended last year. And we have seen the basis of welfare society in our public registers. So they should be up to date and correct in terms of content. This guarantees that our control mechanisms are also reliable. For example, if there is a representative of some company, then if they are using strawman, they are not actually the ones that are responsible for the taxes. So again, we have to have reliable public registers. And in this Nordic cooperation, we have identified that the systematical attacks against welfare society are often based on the abuse of IDs, and attacks are led from abroad. And this has been identified a major threat because our society is vulnerable. Users of the wrong IDs can be individuals, companies, organized crime as well. And these are a tool for tax frauds, but also sort of like a background phenomena for a lot of types of different crimes. They prevent us from getting the beneficial owner, but they want for us to control those that are strawmen, for example. And during this project, we saw that there are a few agencies that are identifying private persons and registering them in our population information system. And we saw that there is a lack of coordination and common procedures in registration between these agencies, and tax administration is one of them. And also we saw that there is a problem with exchange of information. And this was a very important project, and because we saw these all kind of problems here, most likely there will be a new inter-agency project in our next action plan. A few words about our risk management and control measures. We have quite successful risk management and successful selection of targets. So, for example, in tax crime area, 93% of the audited cases resulted in taxes being levied. This is last year's statistics, and you can find more statistics behind the link. And we have also very capable analyzing function. We do different type of, for example, qualitative analysis of phenomena. And also we are sharing this information also in certain level to other authorities and stakeholders. We also make this guidance and control plan annually. In this plan, there are prioritized control areas. In tax crime area has its own criteria, but in a general level, this is actually public information, which means that we share this general information about this plan. We don't give the details, of course, but for example, this year we said actually the media that regarding, for example, excise duties, our prioritized control area is liquid fuels. Then what kind of measures do we have? Tax audits, registration control, deregistration, VAT control, personal taxation. And there's, in tax crime area, it's actually, we can choose quite flexibly what measure is best in a certain case. So sometimes it's VAT control, but sometimes we have to get more holistic picture, and we see that we have to use, for example, tax audit. We do also control events with other authorities. These are more focusing more on particular sectors, for example, construction, taxes, transportation. A few words about the preventive approach. So we are more and more focusing on what happens before the damage has occurred. How can we prevent this happening? And this prevention requires a lot of knowledge about the phenomena, risks, also cooperation. You have to be aware of the big picture, because this kind of holistic approach to the prevention requires that you are not just looking at the phenomena from your perspective, for example, taxation risks only, but you have to see if there's something else also involved. So some cases we see, for example, yes, there is a tax risk, but the main issue might be some sort of social benefit fraud, or, for example, exploitation of the foreign labor force, for this kind of phenomenon. So these are actually better prevented and tackled by some other authority than tax administration. So, and also, if it's only about tax risks, then of course we can think ourselves that what is the best way to tackle this phenomena and use our measures. And for example, regarding prevention, we see that the registration moment is really important. So at this stage, we can block the entrance of potential fraudsters in our registers. And of course, not always the registration itself necessarily, it doesn't create any rights or obligations, but the information in the registers are used by multiple operators. So if there is incorrect information, this can cause widespread harm, which multiplies when every operator is using the incorrect information. And I have one case example regarding renewable energy company. This was a new company, applied to VAT register and was registered. After the registration, the amount of VAT refund grew quickly. But this wasn't actually like a rare thing. This can be a quite normal in this when you have business operating in the renewable energy sector. But the company itself seemed trustworthy. So the main line of business, big volume, it answered to all our requests of information. So there was certain level of trust. But when we started looking more closely into this case, we saw that all the documents that the company has provided us were fictitious. So bookkeeping material, purchase invoices, bank statements, everything. This was limited partnership company, and these silent and limited partners appear to be big renewable energy companies from other Nordic countries. When the auditor examined the business information systems documents, all contracts were fictitious. The silent partners' signatures were fake. So this highlights the importance of the registration moment. This is the way to prevent fraud, because if this would have been caught in the registration process, no VAT refund would have been paid. And when they are paid, usually it's really hard to get them back. So the verification of the information given to us is really crucial. Then another tool that we have in Finland is the compliance reports. So we have this special grey economy information unit within Finnish tax administration. It produces these compliance reports on organization and people connected to these organizations. And you have to have permission to request these compliance reports, and this is defined in the legislation. And also the purpose for which these compliance reports can be used and requested is also defined in the legislation. Here are few authorities that have the access in this data. And the data in these compliance reports are collected from different authorities. For example, what taxpayer has declared to tax administration. And this is automated process. There's a web interface, and through this you can get these compliance reports if you have the legal right to access the data. And I think it takes like 1 day and you have the compliance report. And this is, for example, you can use this in public procurement. And this allows identify those players that do not fulfill their legal obligations. And those organizations, you have information that when you are reading it, you can spot those that might have undeclared economic activity. Of course, the compliance report doesn't tell all. So, of course, if the compliance report might seem okay, but there's still some kind of fraudster or fraudulent activity going on. But this is actually a good prevention tool. And also there is an act on contractors' obligations and liability when the work is contracted out. This applies to all sectors where the subcontracting or temporary agency work is utilized. So the ordering party is under obligation to check that the contracting party is reliable and compliant. There is this sort of document that there is information about registration and for certain certificates, for example, pension insurance taken out for the employees. Then when we are talking about sharing information, we have this public website. This is for public agencies, companies, individuals. It's also available in English. This provides information about topical issues and phenomena regarding economic crime, research information, reports, guidance, and also control results of authorities. So this is a really good website to sort of share information about topical issues happening in the field of economic crime. Then I was talking about our analyzing function. So we have to have the knowledge about the phenomena. Here are a few examples that we have been analyzing in tax administration. So for example, NPOs. What kind of tax and economic crime risks are there? What are the risk indicators? What is the modus operandi? Then neobanks, havalas, VAT refunds, professional enablers, renewable energy. And this information is used to develop our risk management and also our target selection. We use this for the prevention. And then also in some level, we are sharing this information to others. So for example, you have to be aware of this kind of phenomena. This phenomena also affects on your control task or in the field of your expertise. And then when we have the knowledge about the phenomena, then come the cases. So, for example, regarding NPOs, we identified few risks in our analysis. One was that the NPO status is abused for unjustified application of subsidies and grants, which means that the NPO's activities do not correspond to real activities. So really the money is channeled into the beneficial owner. And the other one was the complicated structure. So there might be multiple NPOs, companies, maybe in chain, and this kind of structure has been made so the control would be not so easy task for us. So this was an old traditional association who did also Nordic cooperation, for example, training courses. It had a connection to another NPO and a company. The beneficial owner was the same. So the same person had role in both NPOs and right to use both NPOs' bank accounts. Financial statements were presented to tax auditors, but no detailed information about debts, receivables, profits, or expenses were provided. Subsidies came from, for example, Nordic Council of Ministers, European Commission, Finnish National Agency for Education. There were a few others. And the money was mainly transferred from NPO's account to beneficial owner's personal account. Company that this person owned, and then the other NPO's account, and then the money ended up this beneficial owner. All transfers were labeled as debts, but when we asked, no documents about the debts were made or available, and there was actually no intention of paying this money back. And the money was used in beneficial owners' private expenses, so buying new apartment, new car, traveling, other kind of private costs. And so the first come the knowledge of the phenomena, then come the cases. Then lastly, I will talk a few words about our anti-corruption measures. So Finnish tax administration doesn't investigate corruption, but bribes are non-deductible in business taxation according to our tax law. So we actually fight corruption as a part of our tax control task. So, and we do cooperate with police in these cases. A few years back, we wanted to improve our capabilities of detecting corruption during tax control, because we know that tax fraud, corruption, and money laundering, they are often connected to each other. And we did research regarding tax audits in which there was bribes detected, because we wanted to know what kind of cases we have had during last 10 years. What can we learn from this? I think in the we analyzed around 55 cases. What were the main indicators? Do we have to develop somehow our capabilities? And we used this information when we were creating this Nordic anti-corruption training. So this training was developed in a cooperation between Nordic tax administrations. And in this training, it consists 3 steps, and these were gradually progressing from more general type of training to detecting corruption. So first one was very general, meant for everyone. This was actually 3 short videos. What is Nordic corruption? What is tax administration role in fighting corruption, and why fighting corruption is important. Then step 2, it provided more comprehensive knowledge about corruption. So legal framework, also different modes of corruption, so the unethical side of corruption and the criminal side. Because yes, in Finland, we do tend to think that when we are talking about corruption, it's only bribes, and the unethical side of it is sort of like, we don't always recognize it. So we wanted to raise awareness on the different modes. And then step 3 was made specifically for tax auditors, and it focused on the detecting corruption. So we actually made this artificial bookkeeping. And in this bookkeeping, there were different kind of risk indicators. And then we divided the tax auditors into small groups, and they had to go through the whole bookkeeping and detect those risk indicators and make some sort of conclusion based on these indicators or what they have detected. And then we would have like a group discussion and discuss all about all of the indicators and what do you think of this. And this training received like really positive feedback, and the tax auditors felt like this increased the level of expertise in detecting corruption. So this was really good. Yes, that was my presentation. Thank you.